First of all, can you tell our audience what Bob Gibson has meant to you?
Well, it's always kind of intimidating when you first have the opportunity to meet somebody who you've admired from a distance for a long time, and someone especially the caliber of a Bob Gibson, Stan Musial, read all of these icons, and coming over here in 1982 and having the opportunity to meet and spend time with real legends, people that I grew up watching, it was intimidating, but for I think all of the people that have been a part of Cardinal baseball through the years, I think we all realize how fortunate and how blessed we are to have had the opportunity to actually visit with and see a lot of legends for a long period of time. When I go to the Hall of Fame and I look around and I see these people that I admired growing up, and then the Cardinal representation there was very, very special, because we had so many Cardinals that have become Hall of Famers and stuff. So it was intimidating first, but, because Bob, the scowl, that's what the exterior, that's what people see first, the exterior. And it's always that, to me, it was always a defense mechanism to say that, hey, you know what, I'm serious about my craft or what I do. And once you're able to get by that, you find a very warm, a very caring, a very competitive, a very courageous, fun-loving, great sense of humor person that I've had some wonderful times with. And it was great here late, because he became a wine connoisseur, so we had some great times. It was it really was this is a celebration of life. And, Bob lived a good life. He was a good father, good husband, and just a good person, man. And it's hard. You never know how you're going to accept it. You knew it was coming, but you never know exactly how you're going to feel when it happens. And this hurt. This was a gut punch.
When did the relationship change a little bit where you could actually fire back when he would get on you and then you would go back at him, because you did that all the time?
Well, I realized I think that was just something that we had, it was just, it was automatic. And, he would always tell me, his sense of humor. He said, you know what? If I would always tell him, I wish you'd have thrown and hit me. If you'd have hit me, I'd have taken my bat and hit you right in your kneecap. And he said, you know what? If I was a shortstop, they wouldn't even know who you are. And he's probably right, Frank. He was that talented. He was, and I don't know if most people know, but he was a globetrotter too, and just a super athlete and stuff. And it was fun getting to know he and Wendy and Chris and the family. It was just fun to be around, and I really got a chance to spend a lot of time when I made the Hall of Fame.
And he was really real. There wasn't like an ounce of phoniness about him. You couldn't get away with anything with him around, right?
Oh no, he was he was very serious. He was serious about his craft, and I think people that of his caliber, there's a certain seriousness to them, and people say that about people who've been able to excel as he did in his career and stuff. And I think that that's the way you have to be. That's the way he's made up. It's part of his DNA, to be straightforward, tell it like it is. If you got him today, he said, you got me today, then he's going to come back and get you tomorrow.
How about some of these numbers? I'm not going to bore you with all these stats, but 251 wins with 255 complete games. Is that crazy?
Yeah, they don't, I don't think that that you have that same mentality today. That's where the game has really, really changed. When he told the slap back in the day, it was to go the distance. It wasn't to go 5 innings or 2 innings or whatever. It was to go the distance. And, those 255 complete games, I think speaks to, how serious he was about his craft and how good he was at it.
It's amazing how similar the success level of Lou Brock and Bob Gibson were, but how different they were personality-wise. They
were. It was total different. But, when they got between the lines, their goal was the same. Their goal was to beat you in any way that they possibly could. And, you look at Lou, I never saw a day where Lou wasn't smiling. Whereas with Gibson, some days when he was pitching, he didn't even speak to his teammates. And people knew that, because that's how he took his craft. He took it very seriously, took a lot of pride in it, and especially wearing those birds on the bat.
I'm wondering what kind of advice that he gave you when you got to town or when you were started to emerge as a superstar. Did you get some helpful hints from him on how to handle things, or what was that rapport like, at least initially?
No, not really, because I think the thing that kind of drew us together was that, you kind of built the same way. You take your craft very seriously. When it was game time, when the lights came on, you had a job to do. And people came to the ballpark to be entertained. And whether we did good or bad, they know and they knew that when we went out there, you were going to get the best that we had that day. And I think that when you're built that way, when you look at the Cardinals as a whole, I think that those are the type of people that that this organization has really brought forth. When you look at the Lou Brocks, the Red Shanleys, the philosophy is always that it's the same. When we get between the lines, our goal is to beat you in any way that we can, bite, chew, punch, whatever you have to do to win. And I think that is what has made this organization so special.
Can you share what maybe some of your last conversations were like, or your last really meaningful time with Bob was like, either a phone call or in person?
Well, I tried to talk to him the last 6 months. I tried to talk to him at least once a week. And, that the last couple of times that I called, Wendy called me back and told me that he had gone into the hospital. And then when I finally did get a chance to talk to him, he says, I've had a couple setbacks. And it was at that point that I realized that, reality was really kind of setting in and stuff. And the last conversation that we had was exactly what he wanted me to say at Lou's funeral. And that was the last time that we had a chance to talk. And then he went into the hospital, and of course things deteriorated from there.
And that was difficult that he could not attend Lou's funeral, wasn't it?
It was. I think that he thought in the back of his mind that he would have a chance to do that. But when we realized that he wouldn't, I told him, I said, write down or jot down or have Wendy jot down exactly what it is that you want me to say about you guys. And he had the funny story about, Lou in Milwaukee, the ball being hit. And Lou started to his center field, and then he ran back to the left field line and jumped up and made a catch. And he said, Bill White said, either that was the greatest catch I've ever seen, or it was the worst play I've ever seen. So, that was the one thing that he was able to remember coherently. It got a little tougher there at the end for him to remember things.
And finally, with the passing of Lou and Bob and the fact that Bruce Sutter doesn't live here, you still being a relatively young man, you're kind of the statesman here, and it's a large responsibility because of the way we revere baseball. How do you view that?
You know what, Frank, I don't. I just believe that I gotta be me, and unfortunately, we're losing guys at a rapid rate. So, I'm going to do whatever I can to represent the organization, myself, my family, and the city of St. Louis. I think that, this is a very special place. It has been for me since 1982. And, you kind of grow into these situations. It is what it is, so I'll handle it as best I can. And hopefully, hopefully I can do it for another 25, 30 years.